I became involved in the Arthur Wharton Heritage Project by essentially working on the application to Heritage Lottery, because my initial contact with FIRD was through Arthur Wharton, really. My knowledge of Arthur Wharton was doing a radio programme on Radio 5 in the mid-90s about the history of black footballers in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Howard heard it. He was setting up FIRD at the time, this is about 95, and said, I didn't know about Arthur Wharton, you know, he's from Yorkshire, etc., etc. Will he come up and put an exhibition up, etc.? So I came up to Sheffield, put an exhibition up, and the relationship kind of developed from there, really. So I've been involved with Howard and FIRD since the beginnings of FIRD, really. I'm consultant to the Arthur Wharton Heritage Project, which really was that came out of my role in developing the application and doing the groundwork for the application, and the fact that I'd written Arthur's biography. I was doing a project on the history of black footballers in Britain,
mm-hmm.
Which was supposed to have been a PhD, which I never completed.
Right.
One of many, but and there were two characters that stood out before the First World War in the history of black footballers in Britain. One was Arthur, and
mm-hmm.
another one was Walter Tull, and they were the kind of key figures that kind of shouted at you from the dark and dusty pages of history, really. Yeah. When I wrote the biography, we had a time limit, really, because FIRD lent me the money to spend the time to write the biography, and so they could only afford a certain period of time. So there were lots of gaps in my knowledge of Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I think in the biography we've got his football and athletics career fairly well covered, but there are definite gaps in his cricket career, his life as a miner, his impact as a black sportsman in South Yorkshire. There are lots of holes that need to be filled, really. So the idea behind the Heritage Lottery application and the project is to kind of fill those gaps. So, as I said, cricket is one area that we need to work on. His life as a miner, he was really a miner for the last 25 years of his life at least. So that's a long period, and it's longer than his sporting career, really. So that's an enormous area that we need to do more research in. Arthur Wharton was born in Jamestown, Accra in 1865. He was the son of a Wesleyan missionary preacher who was actually head of the Wesleyan mission in the Gold Coast, which is now Ghana. And his mother was the daughter of an African princess of the Akumfi store and a Scottish trader. And that applied also to Arthur's father. Arthur's father, who was born in Grenada, was also the son of a Scottish plantation owner. So on both sides, so Arthur was mixed heritage. He was a mixture of African, Caribbean and European, Scottish. They were a fairly wealthy family. You would say they were upper middle class. I mean, Arthur's mother, her family were the Grants, and the Grants owned the Gold Coast Times. So that side of the family were upper middle class Euro-Africans. Arthur's father, because he was well educated, he was head of the Wesleyan mission in the Gold Coast. He was quite a well-respected figure. So he came from an unusual background in that respect. And unusual in the sense that they sent their children to be educated in Britain. That was an extended family tradition. So his cousins, his father, his uncle had all been sent to Wesleyan schools colleges in Britain, and Arthur followed that pattern. So in 1874, when Arthur was about 9, he was sent to a school in London called Dr. Cheney's Burlington Road School in Fulham, and he stayed there until 79. He went back to the Gold Coast and then returned for what we'd now consider higher education in 1882, where he went to Shoal Hill College in Cannock, and then in 1884 to Cleveland College in Darlington.